My name is Jan Scholfick. I am 68. I live in a small area in central Minnesota. It's called 50 Lakes. And it truly is a land of 50 lakes, huge tourist area with a lot of lakes, a lot of woods, forests, streams. So it brings a lot of people up into the area, especially during the summer months. I love gardening and am an avid gardener and wish I had the green thumb. I'm part of a garden club and I keep hoping that that green thumb is going to rub off on me. It hasn't yet. Now we're in the winter and I'm in the middle of a snowstorm right now. And so I'll spend my time maybe coming up with some sewing projects. I've been quilting. I love reading about new recipes and trying them out on my husband. That's kind of fun. And I love having my grandkids up. In fact, we have a special name for our house. We are working on year number 11 of Grandpa Camp, where the kids come up and spend as long as they want so that they can swim and go fishing, play in the dirt, have adventures in the woods, have building projects, whatever it is that they want to do that we can provide for them. And we really enjoy that time together. My career was being a school teacher. The first years of that, actually I stayed home and raised my kids and did some substitute teaching, went back to work full time as a special ed kindergarten teacher, and then moved on to a specialized program working part-time for high-risk preschoolers. And I did that until I retired. And so I don't know, I was fine. I was retired for years before my diagnosis of metastatic breast cancer. I love to research things, try new things. I don't see my grandkids often enough, and I would love to travel more. I have been married to the same person for 45 years, and it has had its ups and downs like any marriage has. And he, since my diagnosis, really wants to stick close and take care of me. He finally let me drive the car yesterday for the first time in probably a month, which was kind of nice. And then I have a family. They live a few hours away, and they spend a lot of time on the phone with me and just sharing what's going on. My daughter and I have especially grown close since my diagnosis. I think we talk at least once a day or send texts back and forth and pictures every day just to kind of keep tabs of what's going on. We are planning a cruise together going to the Caribbean, just the two of us. So I'm looking really forward to that in the future. She'll come up and just spend time, and our son with two beautiful granddaughters loves coming up here, and we like going down to the cities too and spending time together. He's an avid sailor, so when we can, we'll hop onto a sailboat and spend the day sailing. For years, I have been really good about going in for a yearly mammogram. And so it was time for my yearly mammogram, and without a care in the world, made the appointment. And I was shocked when I got a call to come back in and for an ultrasound. And it became evident. Fortunately, the tech showed me the ultrasound as she was doing it. So it kind of led one thing to another. And the day I had the biopsy, I was having pain in another area. And I was concerned because my mother had passed away from ovarian cancer many, many years ago. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have two different kinds of cancer. But of course, that wasn't to be. The cancer had already metastasized when it was discovered. When I first was told I had metastatic breast cancer, I think I'm going to back up a minute because it was kind of a long story, because I have rheumatoid arthritis as well. And it was kind of on the active side when I was diagnosed. When the bone scans and the PET scans that I was having, the RA would also show up on those. And so my oncologist really needed to sort out what he was seeing was the RA and what he was seeing as lesions, the bone metastases. And so I wasn't getting an answer. And I remember just sobbing at home because I just needed to know. Because and this is like several weeks into this diagnosis process, and I already knew, but I didn't have the words. And calling and talking to a nurse coordinator, and I said, I really need you to tell me exactly what's going on. After talking with that nurse coordinator and we were done, I think my husband and we just sat and cried, because I had made a very wrong assumption of what was going to happen in the coming months. I had no idea. I had always believed you get breast cancer and they fix you're very, very sick for a while from chemo, and then you're okay. That was very naive, but I think that is also a pretty common understanding to people who have never experienced a type of cancer before. And so I think it took several months to kind of know that this was something that I was going to have to live with and move on with. And I could either do the best I could and live the life to my fullest, or I could just curl up in a ball. And I just decide to move forward and do as much as I can and still be involved in family and society as much as I can. A couple of the resources that I found really helpful when I was first diagnosed was really sitting down with the nurse coordinator, who came with a huge packet of information and resources that I could use. And one of the organizations that I hooked up with and I still used is called Firefly Sisters. And so I have a mentor who is going through the same thing I am. She's had metastatic breast cancer for many years. And we get on the phone and sometimes we talk for 2 hours, just kind of sharing what's going on in our life and what our hopes and dreams are. And it's just really nice to have that person. Another resource is some of the grants and the funding that are available to help you through with a variety of things. The American Cancer Society, talking about hair loss and wigs and how to tie a scarf, was really, really helpful too. And it helps take the unknown out of it, and to know that you're not the only one and that there's help for you in a lot of different ways. My friends who have experienced cancer are a huge support system for me. I will get random phone calls from them. They check up on how I'm doing. They occasionally send me flowers, or I've been getting winter hats being made. And that just, it's like every time when I get a card or a hat or whatever it is, it just makes you feel really valued and important again. And that's really, really important. At least it is to me. My daughter brought up her huge box of scarves when I first lost my hair, and gave me the whole box. And so I can rummage and dig, and I could have a different look every day of the month if I wanted to. Since my diagnosis here a few years ago, I really worked on my faith and making that a bigger priority in my life. And kind of connecting with a women's group at church, and that has been really, really helpful. Not necessarily with my diagnosis, but with the spiritual part of my life, and that has felt really, really good to me to focus on that, and because it takes a little bit of the focus off of my diagnosis. I think it's important for me to share my story because it's really a scary thing to go through, and to try to figure out how your life is going to change and work it out, and just get rid of that fear that just kind of engulfs you, and it can paralyze you and just make your life miserable. I just think it's important to say, this is what I have. How can I best deal with it? And what do I need to do to feel the best I can? And when might I need to ask for help? And I can say that, ask for help, and I am really bad at that. I'm trying, but it comes really hard. A lot of us are mothers, and we've spent our whole life nurturing other people. We don't get nurtured well. My metastases are all located in bones. It's like you can almost pick a bone, so it's multiple to the ribs, spine, sternum, hip bones, skull. I've gotten to the point where I will always ask, is there another plan? And so I usually know what could come next. And that's important to me because I want to have that hope that there's something else that I can try, because I've made the decision. I want to be around for a while longer because my grandkids are so little. I want them to be old enough to understand a little bit clearer of what's going on, and that they remember me as, oh, wasn't that grandma a lot of fun? After a while, you just go blank, and you just decide that you're going to move ahead because you still want to have hope that you will be fine, and that I don't want to miss out on an opportunity that might happen in a few days. I still feel okay, and I have the energy to do a lot of things that I want to do, or at least I do them maybe in smaller portions. An example, we went for a walk a couple days ago, and I didn't quite walk the whole distance we have in the past, but I was still outside enjoying the fresh, beautiful 30-degree weather, which for Minnesota is warm in January. I also have a secondary disease from rheumatoid arthritis called Raynaud's, and so my fingers will lose their circulation in them. So I'm kind of dealing with a lot of things at once, and I really like warm water and warm mittens. Difficult things about living with MBC fatigue and not wanting to share information with other people who I am involved with, like in clubs and friends. Things that bring me joy, I look at that as what things should I be grateful to as well. And even knowing that, like my husband and I, we have this thing, he makes the coffee in the house. We always say we have coffee, we talk about maybe a current news event or what's going on in our family, or sometimes we'll just pick a random topic, and that I guess brings me joy. Seeing my grandkids and my family certainly brings me joy. And over the last few months, it's actually going into a mode of looking at what other people need, and instead of becoming a receiver, to try to be a giver. And honestly, that has been just wonderfully fun over the last few months. I think I would like people to know that it is a diagnosis that is not going to go away. I wish people were maybe a little bit more cognizant of not only people with metastatic breast cancer, but with all the things that people have in their lives that have really been difficult for them, whether it's cancer or whether it's maybe a death or some other kind of traumatic medical condition or family lifestyle problem. I think we all have part of that. I think really believing that we all have something, and if you don't, you better understand you have a big gift, and that especially in this period of time, we just really need to be kind to each other and thoughtful. And I wish I would do a better job with it, but I also wish others would do a better job with it. COVID has presented a huge amount of challenge. First of all, it's kind of kept me homebound more than I typically would. My husband and I have enjoyed traveling the last several years, so that has canceled all of those plans. I think when this first started, we were just getting off a cruise ship and decided we better fly home. And that was the day that all the restaurants closed down. So we made it home. And since then, it's been a lot of home. I haven't seen some friends in person. So we've lost kind of that contact. Some of the social groups I'm involved with haven't been meeting. Some of the groups are meeting through Zoom, and so that's getting to be a little bit easier. But I'm even starting to miss not going to a restaurant. And I'm not even a big restaurant eater because I love cooking at home. So it's those kinds of things, or seeing my kids. One of my children believes that their family should not be limited socially, and so I don't see him very often, and those grandkids, unless I know that they've been isolating for a while. My daughter, on the other hand, is very cognizant, so I tend to see her and that side of the family more, but not nearly enough. We live on a lake, and so all of our neighbors are seasonal, and they are so amazing. My hope is to be able to do a little bit of traveling and be free to go see my kids and my friends and have them over for dinner when we want. As far as my biggest fear, I worked really, really hard when I was first diagnosed not to live in fear. And I've been really successful with it. So I guess my fears, I can't say I really have any with COVID right now, which is a really good place to be. I have had telehealth visits, and what I have discovered is they're not all that bad. And so it just depends. I think I'm into my diagnosis long enough where I feel comfortable. I know the staff, and so if we talk, the visits are almost like they are in person. Now, that being said, I also like going in person, and if I had a choice, I would typically prefer being one-on-one, just because if something comes up and he wants to look at something, the doctors really want to see how your symptoms are popping up for you. If you're having difficulty getting a medication, reach out to someone. whether it be your pharmacist, whether it be your oncologist, whether it be your nurse coordinator, and make sure that you are able to get what you want. And if you find that you're being told you have this huge copay, try to research and see if there's funding available. And just don't give up. Make those few phone calls. Find someone to help you with that if you need help. And just be patient with it. But I found too is that if you've been told you're going to be on a drug, and then you find you can't afford the copay, go to the pharmaceutical company website and look. It's very easy to find out if there is funding available to help you pay your copay on the drug that your doc wants you on. Perseverance means to me is that you make the choice not to give up, that you do the best you can, but that you're also an advocate for yourself, because there will be times when things fall through the cracks. Somebody will forget to do something for you. And I think it's really important to persevere and to be your own advocate, not only with your doctor and the group of doctors that you're with, but also even be knowledgeable and proactive.